Hello, everybody. Here we are for the second Zoom session of 9BR1. Welcome, everybody. Where have you all been?
Okay, George, since you are the master of ceremonies, I got a question for you.
Yes.
9B meant the second class in the ninth grade. What is the R? That was rapid advance.
Rapid advance.
Which did we skip? What
Uh,
grade
We
did
skipped 8B. We
8A.
skipped 8A. 8A.
8A?
We went from 7B to 8B.
Right, we skipped 8A, correct.
I
That's
was
right.
trying to
Right.
remember. I couldn't remember.
7A.
In
was
7B, we
West
had
Vermont, right?
Mrs. Taylor. Mrs. Taylor was our teacher in 7B. Remember Mrs. Taylor?
And there was,
You know,
was there a
Taylor?
Mrs. Fromm, a Mrs.
Taylor.
I don't remember.
Taylor.
Don't ring.
No, I don't remember her.
And we had Virginia Byrne in the ninth grade,
Uh-huh. Don't remember.
right?
Do you
In
remember?
8B, we had Mrs. Fromm. F-R-O-M-M.
Right.
I
She-
remember
We had a
the
guy in our
names of
class.
places.
How about Sydney
Mrs.
Oken?
We had a guy in our class who joined the class after the semester began, and Mrs. Fromm liked him very much. His name was Harlow Fraden,
Oh, he was.
and
Oh,
he was
Harlow.
very well. Yeah, she said he was very well behaved. She said, "Why can't the rest of you be well behaved like Harlow Fraden?" Harlow Fraden wound up poisoning his parents and murdering them, and went to prison for life. But he was well behaved in Mrs. Fromm's class.
One of our
You
more
remember
illustrious
Sydney
alumni.
Oken?
Oh,
Mr.
Oken.
Oken was
He
great.
was a
Oken was terrific.
teacher at
Journalism.
Ritter,
Yeah, the journalism.
Journalism.
for the taught journalism.
That's right.
Journalism. Right.
Yeah,
He
he was
spelled
very
his name like it was Irish. O apostrophe
Okay.
K-U-N.
Okay.
Right.
right.
His real name was Okunsky.
Huh.
Do you remember an art class that we had where we had to go every Saturday to a different museum? Do you recall that?
No,
No.
but I
No.
know that Marty Rosno always said that Evan Katz and he used to go to the museums together. But I don't recall
Huh.
going to the museum.
I recall an art class where on Saturdays we would assemble at a different museum in Manhattan, and we'd have a tour and a lecture. And,
Really?
It was
Do
really.
you remember the Junior Inspectors Club?
What club?
The junior.
JIC. They used to take us on trips every weekend.
Junior executive?
Inspectors. Took
Inspector.
us to the World's Fair and. well,
Oh, I don't remember that.
Maybe
I don't remember that.
I just called Milty on 3 different numbers and he doesn't answer,
Yeah, there's no
which is
response.
not good news.
Mm.
Yeah, 'cause-
Don't make that assumption. He may be doing something that we wish we were doing at our age.
Well, you mean peeing?
Uh,
No, we pee too much at our age. Too
Do you all
frequently.
remember when there was a reunion of Herman Ritter graduates someplace in Queens? And
Yes, at Queens
expecting
College, at Queens
One of
College.
the other students who had been to Ritter, his name was Al Pacino. He never showed up
Right.
at the reunion.
Right. He didn't show up, but Arthur and I were there. In fact, we rode home together.
Right,
oh,
Remember?
really? Oh.
Sally Merrin, Harold Merrin's
right.
sister or cousin, organized it. And Arthur, I met you at the Queens College, and we drove home together.
Right, right. She
That's
was
in
one
the,
of
That was a
that-
very good reunion.
It was
That's
because-
mentioned in the article that Stanley Meisler wrote about returning to the Bronx and to Herman Ritter, and he
was a
he
great
mentioned that reunion. We discussed the article at the last session. Do you recall?
Yeah,
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
no, it's a great article. I
Yeah,
kept it as a matter
Yeah,
of
really
fact.
great article, right?
It was
I
Milty's
accepted
cousin who gave a lot of the information for our first reunion. Remember about 50 years ago or whatever? when we had the reunion at the restaurant on
Yeah.
Irving Place.
Right.
Yeah.
A lot of
That
the
was
names
terrific.
came from Milty's cousin. That she was the one who gave me a lot of the information. We had the
Oh.
addresses and stuff. That's where that came from.
That was a good reunion. You organized that, didn't you? In a restaurant?
Right, right.
That was 25 years ago?
That was very
Probably more
nice.
than that, Saul. I think it's more
What?
than that.
What year was that, Arthur?
Oh, I don't know, but it was.
Well, it was the 50th anniversary of our graduation. So we graduated from Herman Ritter in 1946.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah,
was
it was
1996.
Guess it's close to 25 years.
1996.
Yeah, it's 25 years.
Yeah. You all look the same.
Right, for sure.
I don't. I look in the mirror. I look in the mirror and I'm startled every day. I don't, because in my mind's eye, I don't look the way I actually look.
Did I have a
I'm still
beard back
38
then?
years old in my head. What?
Did I have a beard back then?
I don't
No,
think so.
No.
Let's see.
I don't think so.
We have the photo. Hold it. Keep talking while I look for the photo.
Photo of what?
Which photo is it?
Our
Photo when we
graduation
had the
class?
reunion at the restaurant.
Was I there?
At the restaurant?
Yes.
I
No,
was.
You were there, Sydney. Yeah.
Sydney was in Texas at the time,
Oh,
Oh,
right, Sydney?
we marked you absent. You were marked absent.
I was marked absent.
Check it
Right.
out. See, but maybe you didn't remember that you were there. I don't know which one it was.
Which one of the Herman Ritter teachers that we had the greatest influence on you at that time and perhaps forever?
On me,
I'll give
it
you
was
two of them.
Oaken. He was a journalism.
definitely.
He taught journalism, and he
Yeah.
was in
Okay, Sid,
charge of the Ritter News. Do you
I
remember
can
the
answer
Ritter
your
News?
question, Sid.
I was editor-in-chief. Marty Rosner and I were co-editors-in-chief of the Ritter News.
Oh, you were?
I was sports editor
Yeah,
at that time. And
You did
Sydney-
have a
Yeah.
beard.
Sydney
I-
made the cartoons.
Oh, there you go. Let me take a picture of that, please. Hold on.
Yeah, Sydney wasn't there. He was in. No, there you are, Sid.
yeah, Sydney was there. Yeah, there you were.
That wasn't me.
That's you.
No,
Art,
that was you, Sydney.
I have a
Yeah.
question to ask you.
That's
Art.
you up there.
I had a beard then.
Hello?
You had a
You're
beard.
right you're right next to Jerry Reiner, I think.
This
That's
is
right.
You,
that must be Archie next to me, right?
No.
That's
Oh,
what you
that's-
It's Paul
that-
Syrup. That's
no,
Paul
that's
Syrup.
Paul.
That's me.
That's
Paul
Paul.
Syrup.
That's Marty Rosner.
That's Marty Ross.
By the way, this guy is Vogel. What's this guy's name? This was Vogel.
No, that was Jerry Reiner.
That was Reiner.
Gary Reiner?
Yeah,
Right.
Huh.
Yeah, he became a
Harold
business person.
Marin.
and that's Erwin
Harold
Codan.
Marin.
That's Harold Merrin.
Milt Bud.
Simon, George, Chuck Rogel, Saul, Harvey Peskin, Stanley Meisler, Clara Antonowski.
Where's Chuck
Where's
Rogers?
Clara?
There's
Oh,
Chuck
this is Clara.
Rogel.
This
which
is Clara, right?
This is Clara.
This is Clara Antonowski.
This is Hilda.
This is
Hilda Simon,
Hilda
Hilda
Simon.
Simon.
Okay, Hilda Simon.
and that's Milty right here.
That's Milty, right?
Milty's here.
That's
Yeah.
Harold Marin.
And there's Arthur. There's Arthur.
Right.
Arthur.
Here. Yep.
And that's Marty Rosner.
Yeah, he's not doing well
Where?
at all. Marty's
Which one is Marty Rosner?
right
Right
over
here.
here.
Right here.
Marty's not doing well.
This?
Marty has full-time.
This is Marty
staff.
Rosner?
That's right.
Huh.
That's Marty Rosner.
Now, who's this? Who's this?
Where are you?
That's
Who
Paul.
is this?
This is Paul looking
Yeah.
looking at the rest of the rest of the people.
That's Paul.
He was in
Paul, why
Copy.
weren't you facing the camera?
I'm not sure.
He liked this profile. He had a better profile. Who is this next to Sydney? between Sydney and Arthur?
That's Jerry
That's
Reiner.
Marty Rosner.
No, Marty Rosner's over here. That's
No.
Marty Rosner.
This is Marty Rosner.
No. This is Marty Rosner.
Where?
Where,
I split
which one is Marty Rosner?
this one, right?
Next to who?
He's right next to Paul. This is Paul.
This?
That's
Oh, yeah, this is Marty Rosner. I'm sorry. This is
Oh.
Jerry Reiner.
Jerry Reiner. I'm
Oh.
sorry. You're right. Jerry Reiner. Right.
Right. And he was a very close friend of Harold's.
That's right. They were close friends.
Right.
Arthur,
Correct.
Yes.
did you invite any of the wives?
Yeah.
I tried to find them. I don't know. I could tell you, some of them are not alive, and I didn't have a lot of them the last time, as you can see. The only two who showed up were Hilda and Clara. But I know that Sandra Glickman has passed away.
But
She-
Hilda's a classmate. How about the wives?
Oh, the
Who's
wives.
next to
Right?
Harvey
Right.
Peskin?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yes.
don't know.
Yeah. He invited
Oh.
spouses. I brought my wife.
At this party,
Yeah.
My wife was at the party. My wife was at the
My
party.
wife was there.
and Marty Rosner's wife was at the party.
Yeah, they
Look,
sat with
I
us
don't
at
know if
the
it was
table.
with his first or second wife, but I think he was there. Harvey's wife, Zipporah, was there. Bert didn't come. Bert was not there with his wife.
Who's this?
Where were we looking? Who's where?
Right here,
I don't see
Next to
Nora.
who?
next to Chuck.
Next to
Next
Chuck
to
Saul.
Chuck.
That's me. This is me, Saul Friedman.
That's
Oh,
Saul.
is that you?
Saul Friedman.
Oh, right.
Right.
Yeah.
Harvey Peskin.
Harvey Peskin's wife is still alive. His son was very active on the San Francisco Council. He was the head of the, like a supervisor in San Francisco. Very active in politics.
And who was this?
That's Erwin Kozan.
Erwin
He was-
Kozan.
Kozan, oh, that, Erwin Kozan, that's right, that's who he was.
He was a business person at that time.
And this is our graduation photograph, which has disappeared.
Correct.
Does anyone have a copy?
No.
Thought I
No.
did, I can't find it.
I used to have, when I lived in Cope, I had a house in Copac. This used to be on the wall.
Maybe it still is.
No, we couldn't find it. I don't know whether it got lost when we moved or whatever happened, because now we're in a different town. Well, I think that was my copy that Harold is holding. Because if you
I
see.
can
it,
see
it's
why
great.
Stanley was the center on the basketball team. He's the tallest.
Right. Yep.
Is this the
Okay.
photo you just had? Was that a graduation from Herman Ritter photo?
That's what it was. The picture that Harold is holding is the picture.
Okay,
Our
listen, I
senior-
was
our
trying to
senior class.
record this, George.
What's
but
that?
I was trying to record the screen here, but I couldn't. When I clicked on the recorder, it said that I had to get permission from the host.
George,
Can you
can
give
email-
permission
George,
to
can you-
record?
Cindy, George,
well,
can you-
Sid,
George, can you send-
I'm recording it. And I'll send you the link.
Okay.
Well, you could send him the picture. Didn't you send the picture around last time?
Yeah, I think I emailed the picture. I can send it again.
The graduation picture?
No, that photo.
The other one, yeah.
At the party. Or maybe I just showed it. I don't know if I sent it.
Are you
I'll
sending
send
me?
So do you still have the
the
picture
photo
of
to me,
that I
George?
gave you at Milty's 80th birthday? Of you from the Herman Ritter newspaper?
Yes, I do. I do.
Yeah.
It was,
You were
it was,
the
yeah, it was
best
the Herman.
looking guy in the class.
Who was?
You were.
You're kidding.
Oh, I'm telling you, the picture shows it.
Huh.
You have an admirer.
I'd like to hear about your families. I'd like, we never talked about our families. George, tell me about your family. I'd love to hear about it.
Well, let's start with someone else first.
Okay. Leonard, you said your son's a doctor.
I started to tell you that I applied to many colleges. One, without my asking for it, gave me a scholarship. So I ended up in Cleveland at Western Reserve University. And then from there went to Harvard Medical School, and there the University of Chicago, and then came to Long Island, where I practiced medicine, cardiology, and internal medicine, and retired. My son also went to Harvard Medical School and is at Columbia as a full-time cardiologist. My daughter went to the School of Public Health at Harvard Medical School and is head of a big nonprofit research international group dealing with interaction between males and females and working towards having females get equality in Africa and in Asia and other places, and does interesting research. My wife, I met when I was practicing, and she's a registered nurse. Her official name is Theda. I call her, and everybody else now calls her Teddy. And with medicine changing so and deteriorating, and physicians joining larger groups to survive, and now being employees of hospitals and suffering there, I ended up by asking Teddy to work with me for a short period of time in the office. So we took the opposite stand of having a mom and pop shop. And I practiced until 1998 and then retired. Any questions?
You want me to
You
go
did
now?
pretty good.
No, I went,
Did anybody, I have a question.
go
Did
ahead.
anybody follow a profession which wasn't law or medicine beside me?
Yes.
George was
Yeah,
reading
yeah.
college.
For 9 years, I was an accountant for 9 years before I switched to law. I was a CPA.
What about you, Sid?
Everybody else was a
No,
lawyer.
I didn't practice law or medicine. What about you, Sid?
I was an engineer. I worked for the Defense Department for a while.
As a civil servant?
No, you ever hear of DARPA?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
The
Okay,
Advanced
I worked with them.
Defense
I was working at
Advanced
Columbia
Research
University
Projects Agency.
as a research, what they call Columbia University Electronics Research Laboratories.
So you were at the university?
Yes. And then when Archie mentioned I was in Texas, what I was there for was I was a director of a radar called the AMRAD radar, ARPA Measurements Research. I forget now what it was.
What did it do?
We watched, they used to shoot missiles in from Utah into White Sands missile range. And we would observe them to see how we can detect them and so on. Sometimes they missed and the missiles went into Mexico.
Uh-huh. Now, where were you? You were in Texas? Where were you?
Yeah, El Paso. But the,
Oh, El Paso. I know El Paso.
we drive out of El Paso into
White Sands.
White Sands.
Oh, I visited, yeah. I visited the White Sands, what do they call it? White Sands
Missile range.
Missile Range, okay. Yeah, I've made that drive through the desert, right, right.
I visited El Paso in 1961, and a number of my cousins live there. Their last name is Rosen. And I was looking to see whether or not a completely different environment would be an interesting place to live. But I was single and didn't find El Paso was my answer.
Sid, did you work at the White Sands Missile Range? Your
Yes.
office?
Yeah,
Did you have to make that drive every day?
yep. It was
Oh my
60
God.
miles, as I recall.
Wow. What was that, about an hour?
Say that again?
How long a drive? It seemed
I
like
think it was about 60 miles, so it must have been about an hour.
about an hour.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah. I
Each
remember
way.
that drive. And I remember, yeah, workers driving every day on a narrow road,
With all
a
that,
desert road.
all that work I did for the Defense Department, I never once got a medal.
How long were you there at White Sands?
A year.
Oh, just 1 year. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
El Paso got pretty hot, didn't it, into the summer?
Oh, yeah.
El Paso, I recall flying into El Paso.
As a matter of
And I
fact,
took-
when I took my family came down with me, and my wife got off the airplane when we landed there, and this heat wave hit her, and she turned to me and said, "You brought me here?" She couldn't believe how hot it was.
I recall flying into El Paso and there were 6 inches of snow on the ground. Okay, it had
Wow.
just snowed.
That's
Okay?
hard to believe. I never
It's
saw
hard to
snow there.
believe, but they do have
I
very
didn't know.
rarely snow. And when it snows, there's a lot of moisture in the air down there. And so they had all this wet snow. And I didn't see any snow plows. And I asked the taxi driver, where are the snow plows? He says, no, we don't need snow plows. You just wait a few hours and the sun will melt it all.
Where does everybody live? I know Archie lives up near Connecticut, right?
No,
No?
I have an apartment in Manhattan and I have a place in Chatham, New York. I live near Gramercy Park in Manhattan.
I live up in Rockland County. You know where that is, right?
It's
My brother lives there.
careful. It's a big surge in COVID in Rockland. Be careful, Sydney.
What's that?
I say there's a big upswing in COVID in
Yes, there
Rockland
is.
County. Be
There's a
careful.
large Orthodox community
Right.
nearby. And
Right.
they don't believe in taking
Any
precautions.
No masks.
Well, they had, a couple days ago, there's a beautiful big church um, called Grace Point in Rockland County. It's at exit 11 off the Palisades. And they had a number of people came down with COVID-19.
Did they have the church closed?
Spreader.
What?
Was the church closed or was it?
Yes, yes. Well, it was closed after the infection.
No, I mean before
Very large church.
Cuomo declared that the religion.
It was open. It was open. It was open. They had a huge church, and I drive by it every Sunday morning, and they had 2 huge parking lots were filled. It was a very popular church. Grace Point.
Yeah,
Paul, you had started.
yeah, when I finished at James Monroe, I went to NYU. And from there, I went to the Free University of Brussels, where I went to medical school and found my wife, who was working then for Paris Fashion House. She designed clothes, and she's still with me, fortunately. Came back to Waterbury, Connecticut, where I started a residency and then became a practicing physician. I started in practice in 1962, joining the chief of medicine at that time. I founded the second CCU in the state of Connecticut in 1967, and then practiced there, became chief of the hospital until the year 2000. My two daughters are both physicians, and one is practicing in the clinic at University of Connecticut Medical School, and the other one is associate senior dean of the medical school at the University of Connecticut Health Center. As they were there and my grandchildren were starting to come into fruition at that time, we moved up to Farmington, Connecticut, and actually we live right across the street from the medical school. I volunteered. I had previously been part of the Yale primary care program, but then I volunteered up at UConn, and I taught in the medical school until about 4 years ago when I started having trouble walking. In any case, I enjoyed about 15 years of teaching there, and now I'm a patient. One of my daughters has four children. The other one is not married, and the four children are academically inclined. My youngest granddaughter teaches sign language in a hospital, and she's presently in a master's program in special ed. I have another granddaughter who's in Harvey's old school at Wright Institute. She's in the PhD program, and I think she's in her last year now. I have a third granddaughter who is pregnant now. She has 3 masters, one from Harvard, one from Columbia, and one from Northeastern. And she's a psych counselor in one of the schools in Oregon, Bend, Oregon. And my grandson is teaching nature type outdoor courses in California as well. Unfortunately, they've all been exposed to the wildfires there. And I was just reading an article about the deleterious effect of the fumes in terms of lung disease in that area. It's terrible. I have one granddaughter who, I mentioned her already, but she's 7 months pregnant. She's due at the end of December. So that will be my first great granddaughter. We know she's a girl. But we're fortunate to still be alive.
How are you spending your time now?
Well, I'm homebound. Not doing much except computer work, market analysis for myself, things like that.
I used to be a member of a group. I used to meet regularly up here, and your brother was one of them. How's he doing?
He's okay. His wife passed away,
Oh,
Oh,
unfortunately.
my. He's a doctor too, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a pediatrician.
We have a lot of doctors.
Yeah, my
Sure.
son-in-law is an orthopedic surgeon.
There are more doctors than lawyers, or the other way around?
No,
I think
more
it's more
doctors,
doctors.
maybe more doctors who need lawyers.
There weren't too many other areas that would accept us.
Yeah, that's right.
Could
Well,
have turned out to be a rabbi.
What kind of job is that for a Jewish boy?
Did any of you go to Kehilloth Israel Hebrew School? Milty and I went, but we have.
KI. It was KI.
KI, yeah.
That's
Oh,
why
ITT.
that's why I had my bar mitzvah party at that synagogue.
Yeah. I was bar mitzvahed out of there too.
I went to Talmud Torah Eden. It was run by Mr. and Mrs. Spector. It was on Bryant Avenue in a private home, you know, one of these two-story brownstones between 172nd and 173rd Street. And that's where I went until I was bar mitzvah.
Huh.
And I remember my bar mitzvah speech, you know, you had to make a speech. I made it in Yiddish. You know, the Mr. Spector taught us, you know, he wrote out the speech for you. He wrote out the speech, and I made it in Yiddish. Meine Teure Eltern. Anybody know Yiddish?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we have.
And you got a never sharp pen and pencil set.
In KI, we went to Hebrew school every day for an hour after school. And then on Saturday, they had a young adults synagogue that was adjacent to the big synagogue. And on Sunday, we learned Yiddish. And I remember I was able to read the Forwards and
You read the Forwards backwards.
backwards, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Wasn't KI next door to Herman Ritter?
Yes.
Across the street.
And
Yeah.
the interesting thing is the back of KI was a black church.
Right, which at one time used to be a Mason's Lodge before it was a black church.
Well, I brought some of the gals from my practice in Waterbury down to
Wasn't
the Bronx.
next door to Ritter. It was about a couple of blocks away.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry,
Oh, okay.
I missed your question.
Kehilloth Israel Talmud Torah, KITT.
Yeah, that's KI, Kehilloth Israel.
That was across the street from Crotona Park, right?
Yeah.
Right, right.
I recall from our Hebrew school, they used to take us, you know, once in a while, all of the kids in the Hebrew school, they used to take us to Yankee Stadium to see a baseball game. And, you know, we'd go, I don't know, on a streetcar or however you got there. And that was very exciting. They also, in the Hebrew school, I recall, maybe once a month, they used to show in one evening movies, Charlie Chaplin movies. All the kids would come and look at these movies.
You know, George, the building next to yours where you lived was a brownstone two-story.
Yeah, right. That's right. That's right.
That
That's
was
right.
a Orthodox temple.
That's
where I was bar mitzvahed.
Okay, that's where my father, we used to go on Rosh Hashanah, the high holidays. We used to
Yeah.
go down there. Those were the days.
I went to one on the other side of Crotona Park. Remember that one, Saul? Used to be.
It was a Y. It was a Y on the other side of Crotona Park.
That's right. There was a Y.
Yeah, but that's
Yeah,
besides
the
that,
Bronx Y.
Bronx house. No, if you took the trolley car all the way down, Saul, there was a temple, a shul, right on the, you know, near Crotona Park, a budding.
Oh, yes, yes, that's where I was bar mitzvahed.
Yeah, and that's where we used to go on the high holy days. And actually,
Oh.
my mother and father were married in that shul.
Huh,
There was also a Y on Southern Boulevard between Freeman
that's right.
and Jennings.
Right. And you were in the Dudes, wasn't it the Dudes,
Gents.
your club?
The
The
Gents.
Gents, the Gents. I was, no, I was in the Dudes, I think. No, you were in the Gents, right.
I was in the Gents.
I remember that.
I was in the
Right.
Gents for socialization and the Club Zenith for basketball.
Yeah, we
Oh,
were the Barons.
And Chuck was in the Gents too.
Right, Chuck
Chuck was
in the
a
Gents
member
also.
of the Gents.
Yeah,
We had the
I
Barons.
remember Chuck was the only one of us who could climb up the rope in the gym at that Y without his legs, without using his legs. He was very strong.
I'm very surprised that Chuck, on both occasions, has not responded concerning meeting on Zoom.
Right. No response at all.
Maybe he's
I
not
don't know.
around.
Hmm?
I
When
said,
you
maybe he's
were-
not around anymore.
No, he's around. I spoke to Chuck. I got in touch with him concerning the Zoom twice and no response concerning it. In other words, I spoke to him just before Rosh Hashanah.
Were you able to talk to him?
I was able to talk to him, yes. Chuck is doing fine.
Did-
He's living now in Roanoke, Roanoke, Virginia. He has, his daughter has a couple of restaurants in that area, and that's where Chuck spends most of his time. He has a lot of friends from her restaurants. And he lives, I'm trying to think, a house with his daughter or close to her. He originally was living in Blacksburg, Virginia, where the college is. But after Bert passed away, he lived there for a while, but then he moved to Roanoke, where he is now. But he's well.
Did he say why he did he say why he didn't want to participate in the Zoom?
Give any explanation. And I wasn't going to press him on it, because as I had told
Uh-huh.
you, if you don't get a response twice, you don't push it a third
Yeah.
time.
Oh,
Yeah,
you're right. Yeah.
I contacted someone else.
Evan Katz.
No, Marvin Weinberg.
Were you able to
Listen to this
contact
one.
him?
Yes. Archie, did you give me his phone number or?
No, you found that somebody knew him. I tried it through his sister, who was an appellate court judge in Manhattan.
Well, anyway, somehow I found the phone number and I contacted him at the time of the last meeting, and we had already set the date and time by the time I contacted him, and he said he wasn't available at that time. But then I called him again. I had two phone numbers for him, a home phone, a cell phone. So I called him on each phone. I left messages, I had to leave messages.
What
And
field
I
did
also
you get that?
texted him. Have not heard anything from him.
George? Do you
Yeah.
know how he spent his time? What was his field?
He was in public relations, advertising.
Yeah, right. He says when I spoke to him, back a few months ago, before our previous Zoom meeting, he said he didn't have fond memories of Herman Ritter. He said he was younger than everybody else. I guess he was, I don't know, a year or two younger.
A year or two.
And-
Oh,
And somehow, I don't know, he didn't seem to be very happy with his memories or his experiences at Herman Ritter, which is
It's a shame.
Yeah.
Some of my best memories are of Ritter.
that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Some of my best memories of Herman Ritter. It was a wonderful school. Wonderful
Well,
school.
yeah, the education we received.
You remember Meyer Turkel?
Oh,
I couldn't
Turkel.
stand him. I didn't like Turkel. You liked him? I liked Dr. Gillis. Remember Dr. Gillis? Mary B.
Oh,
Gillis?
yeah, mythology.
When you asked
Yes,
that question,
yes.
who was your favorite teacher?
She got me my
was my
first job
favorite
delivering
teacher.
flowers out of Radio City.
Who was your favorite, Arthur?
Dr. Gillis. And I still
Dr.
remember,
Gillis. I loved her.
and she used the phrase, I'll never forget it, and I use to the present day, when things get bad, it's like piling Asa upon Pelias. Do you remember that phrase?
Right. Yes, yes.
What was the name of the
Yes.
algebra teacher in the 9th grade? Does anyone remember? No.
No, I can't. remember.
Horn, Miss Horn.
Was it Horn? I
Miss
don't know.
Horn, Miss Horn, yeah.
Anyway, the algebra teacher wrote in my autograph book, I remember this to this day. She wrote, if you have something to say and you believe it is right, say it, regardless of doubtful reception.
That's what, very
Huh.
Good
wise.
advice.
I remember
Well,
that.
Saul
Were
told me,
were you
Saul
on-
told me
were you
that
on-
Maya Turkel's brother was Studs Turkel.
Yes, the famous.
Really?
Yeah,
He was?
Yeah,
I didn't realize that.
told me.
and Turkel
Huh,
had
I
a
liked,
strong influence.
I
on
like
us.
studs.
He
Saul was
he
the one who
followed
told me
World War
that.
II with us and the invasion of Western Europe. I remember that so well. And I remember we had about 4 or 5 guys in a group that went all over New York with him. It was a forum, and we were exposed to the audience of students, things like that, and answered questions. He had a strong influence on me.
Turkel?
Yeah.
Yeah. I can,
Sydney, were you on the Barons?
I was.
Yeah, I know that. I remember that.
Were you?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we had me and you and Stanley and Harvey.
and
And
Bob
Ben
Solomon.
Cullen-
Wasn't
Bob-
there a Bob Solomon?
Ben Cullen.
Ben Culler, but I think Ben's passed away.
Oh.
And then there was Bernie Perry,
Who?
Bernard Perry.
Bernard Perry.
Yeah.
I remember that guy now.
Yeah, he was a good ball player.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But we never played the Zeniths because they were really good.
Yeah, we had Alex
In fact, you had
Papaduke.
some guys who went on to basketball history, right?
Right.
Yep.
Elliot Carver was an all-star at George
Right.
Washington University.
Do you
And there was
remember
Alex
the playground? There was a playground in Crotona Park where we used to play softball too. But they had a kiddie pool there that substituted for a basketball court.
Mr. Solomon's playground. It was playground number 3. Mr. Solomon was in charge of it.
Yeah,
Was
But anyways,
Stanley Weisler
we had
on
great
your
ball
athletic
players
team?
that came to that to play on Sunday. That eventually went on. They were high school
Right.
and on to college.
Well, you
Funny.
remember,
Why did you change your name to Teddy?
I'm sorry.
Teddy's my wife's name. I don't know how it got there. But was Stanley Meisler on your basketball team?
Yeah, yeah. He was the center.
Right.
Because Stan and I were talking, and he said he needed some plays for the team. And I gave him a book written by Nat Holman, who had the
Ah.
championship team in New York. I don't know whether it helped.
and then that championship team went right into the tunnel because they were the fixers.
Yeah.
It was
They
They
part
were
of-
shaving point. They were shaving points.
That's
They were
right.
they were so good. They were so good they could shave points and still win.
That's right.
I remember
Yeah.
taking Elaine to one of those basketball games, and she turned to me and she said, "They're supposed to be so good. Why are they making all these mistakes?"
Aha.
And yeah, Eddie Warner, Floyd Lane,
Irwin,
Yeah.
Tannenbaum.
Irwin Dambrot,
right?
Eddie Roman,
Right.
right?
I
Roth,
worked- I
Roth,
worked- I
Sid
worked up-
Roth.
I
The
worked up at the
NYU
Borscht Belt, and
the
we had a
NYU team
basketball.
was also
one at a
very
time.
good.
Okay. No, I worked up at the Borscht Belt, and the athletic director at the hotel was from DePaul. He was the center on the basketball team, and then on the weekend, they would bring up people from New York that were famous basketball people like Sidney Tannenbaum, I remember,
Sid Tannenbaum.
and
Mangiapane.
manager, yeah. NYU. But anyways, one day they asked me if I would like to play with them. So I played for about 5 minutes. It was one of the big moments of my life with those guys. But it was basketball was very important at that time in our athletic life.
Oh, for sure.
That's right. The hotels and the Catskills.
Yeah, that's where I worked.
That's right. Each had their like own basketball teams.
Yeah.
The basketball players would work as waiters or a bellman at the hotel, and they would play. There was a league, a Catskill league, and they were in the summer, and they would play one hotel against the other. And I recall going to Klein's Hillside in Parksville, and watching those. And they had terrific players from the colleges. I recall seeing George Mikan. Remember George Mikan?
Yes, I do.
The
Sure.
football
Yeah,
guy?
yeah.
And Dolph Shays and some of these famous players used to play there. It was
Dolph
tremendous.
Shays was on the NYU team.
Right. I met my
Yeah,
wife at a
yeah.
hotel in the Catskills. That's where I met my wife.
Where? What hotel?
It was called Sunray House, a little hotel on Briggs Highway in Ellenville.
Ellenville.
Yeah, I worked at the Ambassador Hotel in South Fallsburg for about 3 years. I was
Yeah, I worked,
initially a counselor in the day camp, then I was head counselor. It's a good job.
Well,
I worked as a
I was a
waiter.
waiter at the Sunray House, and then I went to the Echo Hotel, also in Ellenville. And the last year, I worked as a bar waiter at the Tarleton Club in New Hampshire. Tarleton Club would have great acts. As a matter of fact, one of them was a young Harry Belafonte. And I remember one of the waitresses said he could park his shoes under her bed anytime.
I worked
The best basketball players were at Tamarack Lodge. I remember Tamarack Lodge had a great basketball team. They had a lot of stars. They had Bob Cousy. Remember Bob Cousy?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
he played. He went. What high school did he go?
He played for Holy Cross. When Holy Cross had a very
Mhm.
upscale basketball team.
Monroe had a pretty good team.
Yeah,
Yeah, I recall we went to Madison Square Garden for the city finals, where they played at the Garden.
Erwin Dickstein was the coach.
yeah. You know, one day a guy
Archie,
7 foot tall. Yeah.
Herman Ritter had a basketball team, right? And Archie, you played for Herman Ritter.
I don't think it was a school team. It might have been
It wasn't.
intramural.
Yeah, it was Herbert Paul and Elliot Carver. Remember, Herbert Paul and Elliot Carver were on the
Peter
best
Paul,
team.
not Herbert Paul, Peter Paul.
Peter Paul? No.
Mary.
Oh, Peter Paul. You're right. Peter Paul. Herbert Paul went on to become a tax lawyer. I was in touch with him for many years.
Dickstein
Herbert Paul.
Monroe.
Peter Paul, right?
Yeah,
Herbert Paul
Dickstein
was in 9BR2.
Right, because he took Spanish.
Correct.
Oh.
9BR1 was French and 9BR2 was Spanish.
Right.
I was
Does
wondering
anyone
what his
remember
name was.
Bernie Edelstein?
Yeah,
I remember the name.
yeah. He
Remember
lived
the name.
across the street from us.
I knew Bernie,
Yeah, he
And-
passed away about a year ago.
right, and we
He
continued.
was a
to
physician too.
Socialize.
He was a physician,
as
right?
couples.
Yeah.
And it was about a year ago. He lived also in Long Island.
Howard Fiedler. Does that ring a bell?
Yeah, I remember the name.
Yeah. he
Howard
was-
Fiedler, yeah.
Yeah, he was a punchy guy, but his uncle was Arthur Fiedler. And
Really?
yeah, that was his claim to fame.
Wow.
When I started telling you a story there at Dickstein saw this 7 foot guy walk past the high school one day,
Oh, right, right.
and he grabbed him. He was from those trade schools at the time, but he got him into James Monroe. They didn't have a pair of sneakers big enough for him, so he had to get regular shoes and play back. but the guy never materialized into anything.
No, as a matter of fact, I think there's a famous picture of him by, I forget Arbus's first name, the photographer. Diane.
Diane.
And it's him and his parents are looking up at him.
This is Milty.
Milty's on now?
Yeah, Milty. Milty? Oh, jeez. Wait. I pushed the wrong button. So what's no?
You know what happened to Bernard Perry?
Yeah.
I really don't know.
Marty Rosner.
Marty Rosner is alive but not well. And George also got a response from Marty Rosner when I said,
Hello?
either you're on,
Milty.
yes or no, will you come to the
Yeah.
meeting? And George got a response that
missed it.
said, no.
Are you near your computer?
He's not well. Marty Rosner has.
Oh, okay. But they were all, I looked for you in 3 different places, but I couldn't find you. But anyways, say hello to everybody.
Everybody on.
Yeah.
Everybody's on, Milton.
Why can't Milty get on?
Because he's not near his computer.
What?
He- He's not home.
He's not at home. He's not at
Does he
home.
have an iPhone?
I had it scheduled.
If he has an iPhone with him, he can get on.
Oh, okay.
Keep going and hold it.
Do you have an iPhone, they were asking,
I do.
with you?
Okay, look at your email.
Look at your email
Look,
and go ahead, give directions.
All right, check your email, Milt. Look for an email from me.
I'm not here. I got my, just the opening screen on.
Can you open your
Can you
email on the
check your
phone?
emails?
On the phone
Yeah, check the email on the phone from
me,
yeah, from George.
and open it up and click on the link.
I'm gonna hang up now and
Wait, and then you can click on the link,
And see what happens.
try.
see what happens.
What to be.
Good luck to you. That's right.
George, will he show on the screen through his
Yeah,
iPhone?
yeah.
He will.
Yeah.
Nope.
You can use Zoom on your
Okay.
iPhone or
I
iPad.
think he hung up on me.
All right.
He's going through.
What happened? Why didn't he join us before?
He had it for later in the week, he said. In any
Well-
case, you know, Milt and I have been very close. All right, what's this? It's him again. Yes, Milt,
I don't know if this is the right number. There are 2 numbers.
which number for George?
It's on the email.
email,
That's
email.
me. That's me.
Okay. I'll hang up again and look for George.
Okay, look for George. Now, Milt and I grew up together on 172nd Street and Boston Road. He lived in the apartment building next to the one that we lived in. So we went to elementary school together. And we actually have the longest relationship, and we've kept it up. I don't think I've seen him since his 80th birthday that Saul was at and Audie was at. But we've talked often on the phone and kept up. Is he
That
getting?
birthday was at his brother's house. Wasn't it at his brother's
Yeah,
house,
in
at
Lake
Mo's house in
Washington.
Connecticut?
Yeah,
At
Lake-
Lake Washington.
You came
Yeah.
up, Artie came up.
Yeah. That was a nice event.
It was. Actually, on the 15th of November, it's going to be his birthday and mine 2 weeks after.
Are you going
But
to
I
be?
guess we're all the same, about 89, right?
You're going to be 89, Paul, or
I'm going to
90?
be 89.
Oh, you're a kid. I'm going to be 90 in May.
Yep. No, I don't drive anymore.
Boy, life went fast, didn't it? Life just zipped right by. Unbelievable,
Yes, Melty.
unbelievable.
I was just thinking that every
Okay.
one of us is very fortunate
Okay.
because
All
it's
right.
so
Say goodbye to
we
everybody.
all have
Hold
our
on.
marbles, which is very
Yeah.
important at our age.
He's saying goodbye to you. He can't
What
get,
happened to the email?
it's at home.
What?
It's on his home computer.
Home computer. Oh, okay. All right.
If I may, I can listen in.
You want to listen in? I'll leave the phone here. Can you hear?
Can you hear me?
Okay.
But I don't know if you heard what I was saying, that we're very fortunate because each and every one of us that's on this Zoom this afternoon seems to have all his marbles.
Oh,
Nobody's,
I lost a couple.
come on, what are you talking about?
We should all admit losing a couple.
There are times
I'm going
that,
to ask all of you if you're all in good health, but I'm afraid to.
yeah.
I'm not
At
complaining.
age
I go to
90,
the bathroom too
you
often.
are or close to
I'm not in good health
health.
anymore.
Well, life continues. My oldest granddaughter is having her bat mitzvah on Zoom this coming Saturday.
And
Wear a mask.
Mazel tov.
does anyone else have great grandchildren?
I told you
I
about
have se-
coming.
I have 3 great
three,
grandchildren.
Wow.
really? Wow. I have seven grandchildren.
Uh-huh.
I have 7 grandchildren, but no great grandchildren. No.
I remember, Saul, way, way, way back, you had called me about one of your daughters who had a cardiac condition or something.
Yes,
Do
yes,
you remember that?
yeah. She was born with 3 problems: ASD, VSD, and a PDA.
They repaired that?
They repaired that. She spent the first 14 months of her life in the hospital.
Whoa.
She went through 7 surgeries. Wayne Isom, you know the name Wayne Isom? He
Yeah,
operated on her.
yes, good man.
Yeah, he operated on her. And she lives in Austin, Texas now. She works for a company that's in digital gambling, digital gaming. Digital gaming.
There are some stocks on the market now in digital gaming. You know that. If you
Yes.
watch the Business Channel, you'll see that they're very, very fashionable nowadays.
Yeah, Ron Perlman has one. He's got one. He controls one.
DraftKings is the one that is most prominent.
Right. Yeah. Which was illegal for a while. It
Yeah,
was illegal.
yeah.
Okay, folks.
Anyway, I've been isolated since March 10th. I live alone. My wife passed away 11 years ago.
Oh,
And my family, my kids are all over the country. There's nobody in New York. So I have a daughter in Wellesley, Massachusetts, who's a very successful artist. She sells a lot of paintings. She's married to a banker and she's got 3 grown kids.
that's nice.
I have a son in San Diego who's president of a bank in California. He's married and has 3 grown kids. I have the daughter who was born with the cardiac problems. She was supposed to get married this summer, but it's not going to happen. She's living with her fiance. She's in digital gaming. And I have a son in New Orleans who is in the branding and public relations business. He's married and has a little girl. So I have 7 grandchildren, ranging in age from 6 to 30. Big range.
Do you do a
Mine
lot
range,
of
mine,
traveling
mine range
to
from
visit them?
25 to 31.
What?
Do you do a
What?
lot of
I-
traveling to visit them, Saul?
I did until the pandemic,
Right.
but I won't get on an airplane and I won't let them. In fact, my son in New Orleans called last week. He said, Dad, I have a great idea. He said, I know you don't want to get on an airplane. You don't want to get on a train. He says, I will drive up from New Orleans and drive us both down there. And I'll arrange for a little apartment for you. And you could spend the winter down there. And I will arrange golf games for you every day of the week. But which was a great offer on his part, but I wouldn't let him take that on.
New Orleans is a
It's
great
working.
place. I loved it.
Crazy place.
I visited.
It's a crazy place. It's
Yeah, but
my son's been living there about 15 years, and he's got a business down there, and he married a New Orleans girl. But it's a crazy town. It's primarily tourism, which is dead at this point.
And so is
That-
Louisiana
it's a-
itself a tough place to be,
It gets
Yeah.
a lot of hurricanes.
right?
Yeah, yeah. New Orleans is a good place to go for a good time, but it's a tough town to live in.
Hmm.
You know where I am?
Tell us.
You're in Florida.
That's right. I'm in
Where are you?
Hollywood, Florida.
I
Oh, yeah.
vacationed there.
Yeah.
I vacationed there. It's a nice place. There's a lot
I
of
vacationed there.
Canadians there. A lot of friends.
I vacationed there a few years ago. Yeah. There's a hotel in Hollywood with a good golf course. I stayed there a couple weeks.
Actually,
A lot
I
of
remember,
Canadians go down to Hollywood, Florida.
right, a lot of Canadians, right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
French Canadians.
That's right. That's
Matter
right.
of fact, they used to have a boardwalk bistro restaurant that was lovely.
Yeah.
George tells me it's not in existence anymore.
They redid the boardwalk, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago. It's beautiful, beautiful boardwalk.
How long have you been down in Hollywood, George?
Well, we had we used to be snowbirds. My wife and I used to, first of all, my son lives in Hollywood. He's a physician. He's a pediatrician. So we used to visit him when I was on vacation from work. And then we bought a townhome here, and we were snowbirds. And after I retired in 2001, we used to come down for the winters, spend the winters here. And then in 2018, my wife passed away. And so we were living in College Park, Maryland. And so I didn't have any family up there. I have family down here, my son, my sister, my sister-in-law. So I moved down into the townhome that we had, and I was living there. And then I had some medical issues. I had to go to the emergency room a couple of times within, I don't know, 6 months. So I decided, I lost confidence in myself. I was living alone. I was worried about, something happening to me medically. Also the, cooking and taking care of. So I moved into an independent living facility right here in Hollywood. Beautiful place. And I'm very happy here. I have my own apartment, and we have a dining room. We eat in the dining room. It's a very nice restaurant. They have tablecloths and menus and choices and all that, just like eating in a very nice restaurant. And lots of friends here. They're very social. So I'm very happy about. That.
Saul, you mentioned that you had a granddaughter or daughter who's an artist.
Who, me?
A daughter who's an artist. Yeah, she's very successful.
Well,
What kind of work does she do?
if you look on the wall
What?
behind George, George's wife was also an artist. That
Oh,
photo,
really?
that painting you see on the wall,
Right.
done by
Uh-huh.
George's wife.
That's right.
Really?
That's a portrait of our youngest son.
I'm interested now, George.
I remember, yes, you and David Balch. You and David Balch,
Yeah,
right,
Right.
in public school.
I'm going to show you
I
a
know.
cartoon I did. I used to do cartooning.
Right. Where is it?
You see it?
Well, no, it's blurred. Move it away a little.
No,
Move it away. No, we see print. All right, wait, now we see the cartoon. It's hard to see.
I
we
don't
can't make it out.
know.
Can't make it
Can't
out.
make it out.
You're not on the screen.
Okay.
It is on the
It was in
screen.
the National Law Review.
Oh, very good.
Oh,
So, and it shows a bunch of guys picketing. And one of them is saying, one of the students is saying to another carrying a sign, he says, "This is the best part of college that I like. This is the part of college I like the best, the rioting." But it dates back to the 1960s, if you remember the rioting.
yeah.
Right.
Right.
And nothing's changed.
Do you still draw? Do you still?
Yeah, I tried for a while. Had a few things published, but I never made the big time.
Didn't get into the New Yorker, huh?
No.
Not yet.
I did in a roundabout way, as a matter of fact. I was taking a course with some guy his name was Mort Gerberg.
Oh, yeah, I know him. He's a cartoonist.
Yeah,
Oh
The
my
cartoonist.
God.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hold it.
In New York all the time.
We're gonna have to cut this
Yeah.
off. I have to prepare for dinner at 5:30. They eat kind of early here.
I have to leave too.
I almost missed my dinner. Okay, listen.
So,
We
It
can
was
meet
very
again.
nice seeing you all.
We can meet again and talk some more. Okay.
Okay.
Have a
Yeah,
good
let's do it again.
day.
Okay.
Very good.
Maybe Milton will finally
I'll
show
send you.
up.
I've recorded it. I'll send you the link, and so you can